Hello everyone, welcome to our channel. In this video I will explain how to replace the camshaft position sensor on 2009 to 2017 Chevrolet Traverse Sport utility vehicles. Step number 1. Park the vehicle on a flat surface, set the emergency brake and place blocks in front and behind the rear wheels for safety. 2. Open the passenger side rear door and remove the mat by turning the lock by hand as shown in the image. Place the mat toward the driver's side to access the battery compartment. 3. Slide the rear seat all the way back and remove the grille by pulling it up with your hand as shown in the image. 4. Remove the screw that holds the battery compartment cover using a number 20 Torx tip screwdriver and then proceed to remove the cover. 5. Loosen and remove the negative battery terminal with a ratchet and a 10mm socket. 6. Open the engine hood and remove the engine oil filler cap as shown in the image. 7. Remove the upper engine cover by simply pulling it up with your hands as shown in the image. 8. Reinstall the oil filler cap to prevent dirt, bolts or tools from accidentally falling inside the engine. 9. Remove the 3 screws that hold the coolant reservoir with a ratchet and a 10mm socket and place the tank on one side or on the engine without disconnecting the hoses as shown in the image to facilitate access and removal of the other components. 10. Next, flip over the red cap that covers the positive terminal of the fuse box by hand and remove the nut from the terminal with a ratchet and a 13mm socket. 11. Detach and remove the fuse box cover by pressing inward on the latches and pulling it up by hand. 12. Next, detach the fuse box by pressing inward on the 3 locks located at the base of the box that connects to the metal support plate using a small screwdriver or a small pry bar and pulling it up with your hand simultaneously. 13. With the fuse box unhooked from the base, move it to the side with your hand to gain access to the electrical connector and disconnect it by pressing inward on the locking tab and pulling in opposite directions simultaneously as shown in the image. 14. Remove the screw that holds the ground cable located on the firewall with a ratchet and a 10mm socket. 15. Next, disconnect the cables from the connector at the top by pressing inward on the locking tab and pulling the connections in opposite directions simultaneously. 16. Disconnect the cables and connectors from the metal base by levering up with a small bar or flathead screwdriver. 17. Remove the 3 nuts that hold the metal base of the fuse box with a ratchet and a 10mm socket and remove it completely. 18. Remove the 2 bolts that hold the engine mount shown on the screen with a ratchet and a 15mm socket and proceed to remove the engine mount. 19. Next, remove the 2 bolts from the bracket that holds the engine mount with a ratchet and an 18mm socket. 20. Locate the correct sensor visually and according to the fault since this engine has 4 camshaft position sensors. 21. Disconnect the cables from the defective camshaft position sensor by pressing inward on the connector lock and pulling it up simultaneously to disconnect it completely. 22. Next, remove the bolt that fastens the sensor using a ratchet and a 10mm socket and then pry it out with a small flat tip screwdriver and remove it from the engine. 23. Install the new sensor in its original position. Connect the cables correctly and install the remaining components in the reverse order they were removed, ensuring that all the bolts and fasteners are tightened according to the specifications listed in your owner's manual. Connect the negative battery terminal and install the cover respectively. Start the engine to ensure that everything works correctly. Take the vehicle for a test drive to verify that the engine works while under acceleration and the check engine light doesn't light up on the dashboard. If everything works correctly, congratulate yourself for having performed a successful repair and for saving money at the same time. Have a wonderful day, handsome.